Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions of the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, news, sports, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actor who will star in a Christmas movie, a holiday movie that will drop on Hulu November 25th called Happiest Season. We're with Burl Mosely. Burl, welcome to Popternative, man.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. We talked about it before. I mean, who doesn't like a nice Christmas movie? Who doesn't like a holiday movie, man?
Everybody loves it. Yeah, you can't beat it, especially now, in these quarantine times. Like, it's nice to have something come into your home when you can't really go out of it too much,
So it's exciting time for the cast and crew because the trailer just dropped for this. And it's always cool because I think, movies dropping is anticipation on its own. But I feel like there's another kind of trailers just have their own kind of lane of excitement as well. Like when a trailer drops.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, at least on my Twitter, had been really burning for this trailer. Like, when is the trailer? When is the trailer? Give us the trailer.
Give it to us, and we want it. And it's funny because a lot of film students, there are classes where they analyze trailers for movies.
Yeah,
and it's like an art. I feel like it's an art, basically.
Yeah, it's an art form.
What are you gonna put in there? I don't know. It's just I can't even the pressure of doing a trailer. Can you imagine? What do you put in there? What don't you put in there?
You're like, how's it gonna come across? What is our movie? What is this? I think. Oh man, have you ever gone back and looked at some of these trailers for some of these old movies?
Yes.
I came across the trailer for The Matrix. I think it was a couple months ago. That trailer is so good because it gives you just enough of what you need, and then it ends with Lawrence Fishburne saying, "No one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself." Right? And you're like, oh.
Well, it's funny with Matrix though. I remember we have you have to take an English class, you have to take a humanities class, right? Humanities all philosophical and stuff, and we watched the Matrix, and that whole beginning where he's like, "What is the world?" and what is anything? And everyone's taking notes, it's just worked out. But again, another trailer too. That just remind me, or there's trailers that literally have nothing to do with the movie, or the feel of it has nothing to do. Gladiator, when I first saw the a TV spot for it, they put Kid Rock's "Ba With a Ba." Yeah, it was, and I can't find it online. People don't believe me.
Right.
I can't find it, but it was the fight scene where he's fighting the guy and the tigers come out. They had the Kid Rock song in the background.
I totally believe that.
Yeah, it was amazing. We'll get into Happiest Season,
sure.
But specifically for you, man, in terms of acting, performing, that's storytelling. You are a storyteller. Burl Mosely is a storyteller.
Yes.
When did you decide that storytelling was something you wanted to do?
Oh man, pretty early on. Once I discovered, I think the power of it. I think it was in elementary school. I was doing one of these class plays, and just the power for all of us to really come together and connect and figure out this story. And then when we presented it, of course, and all of our parents and teachers were there, and they were such a rapt audience, I was like, oh wow, they're not yelling us or grounding us or sending us to our rooms. They really are listening to what we have to say. I thought it was really great.
For sure. And, we're talking now, that was kind of the past, but now, Happiest Season is going to drop on Hulu November 25th, and it's an exciting time with the trailer. And the one thing that kind of grasped my attention was this is just a powerhouse cast.
Yes. The cast is amazing. And in fact, I was telling Victor Garber when I was working with him on set, it was my first time meeting him, and now we're good friends. But I said to him, when I saw the official press release of who all was in the cast, I made a sound that I had never heard come out of me before. It was sort of like a yelp and a hooray, a cheer and a gasp at the same time.
A little bit of everything almost.
yeah, a little bit of everything, all at the same time. Yeah, it was great.
So, the trailer, does a good job of kind of setting the tone, and we know like what the story is about a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for the people that haven't seen the trailer yet, talk a little bit about what we can expect from this movie plot wise, and talk a little bit about your character in the film a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So, classic sort of, couple goes home for the holidays and, meets the folks, meets the parents. But the twist on it this time is, we have a lesbian couple coming over, and Mackenzie is not out to her family.
Nope.
And Kristen's like, oh, what? And then not only that, but she says that Kristen isn't a lesbian either. She's an orphan that's just coming along to hang out with them for Thanksgiving. And the whole family is just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Hi, how you doing? And the movie kind of deals with not just with our couple that's at the front and center, but the whole cast, people coming to grips with who they truly are.
Yep.
And be comfortable with that. I think that's a theme in the movie. My character included. I play Mackenzie's brother-in-law, so Allison's husband, and Allison and I, we have this this nuclear family, the 2.5 kids, and what have you. And yes, our business is doing well. We're great. We're so well off. We're doing wonderful. But the question is, are we really?
And I feel like that is kind of like, so A Marriage Story on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Like that movie is just insane because that's kind of like the, the relationships and the dialogue. I find that's kind of the stuff that really is kind of enticing me to watch films. Obviously, with, Happiest Season, there's obviously going to be a lot of like dialogue between the couples and everything. Is it safe to say that that's kind of where filmmaking is going to, where you're focusing heavily not only on the script, but you're focusing specifically on like the discussions that two characters are having, bro?
Yeah, I think in terms of, when you're dealing with scripts and when you're dealing with storytelling in that regards, and the audience is watching it, they're looking for those little nuggets, those little droplets of discussion between these two characters, just to know not only what's going on with them, but what's going on in the world around them. And I think it's so important, for modern movies to kind of focus on that, which I think it's where it's going, And I was recently rewatching the Batman trilogy, and some of the best scenes in those movies are between Bruce Wayne and Alfred, or Christian Bale, and the actor that plays Alfred. I'm sorry, his name is slipping my mind at the moment, but of course, Michael Caine.
Michael Caine, yeah, of course.
Michael Caine.
There's so many Batmans too. For a second, like I was just like,
yeah.
which Alfred are you talking about?
Jeremy Irons? No, that's the other one. Is it
Jeremy Irons is one of the greatest actors of all time. Sorry.
Facts.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Those discussions between characters give you so much of not only the story, but also the world, and also those relationships are what we as an audience latch onto, to try and understand the story that's being told. So now that the movie doesn't work sometimes.
I think you look at Inglourious Basterds and that tavern scene, I mean, is one of like the greatest scenes of all time. And that literally is all dialogue.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest movie scenes of all time. And it's a conversation. I'm just saying.
Conversation. Let's have a conversation.
But like, what have you noticed though about how people are writing scripts now, bro? Because I definitely see like a difference. Like it's just like scripts are more like impact. Like there's more like they hit harder. I find now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes. What I'm realizing, at least the scripts that I'm coming across, is that your movie has to be about something, and it has to be about something that's immediate, whose immediacy will affect the current world that we're living in now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, tell your story. It's like, why are you telling your story? And why are you telling your story now?
Yep.
Like, why should we care now? A lot of scripts that I find sometimes that I come across, they're dealing with something that, we dealt with 10 or 15 years ago. and have sort of, overcome that. Now you can do that if you're going to tie it into a current moment.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
can't just do it and just be like, hey, remember this craziness? So.
But it's just like it's fun. I mean, like I dabble in like script writing a little bit and
Mhm.
screenplays, and it's just fun to like as a writer, like
Yeah.
to explore with different kind of ideas, and like the
Mhm. Mhm.
possibilities are endless. Like that's exciting. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
writers just love that like aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about pulling something out of your brain and putting it to paper. The possibilities are endless. You can
Absolutely.
literally, think of whatever and some crazy world, and you can create it and put it on paper. I mean, look at Star Wars, look at Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Those all came from someone's brain, and they just put it on the page.
So I'm from 1991, and I need to bring this up because you mentioned, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. I'm from 1991,
Mhm.
and do you not find it strange
Mm.
that geek culture and
Mm.
comic book culture is like mainstream and like cool now? Like I remember growing up and I was wearing like a Spider-Man shirt. I'd get teased and stuff. Now it's like cool to be a geek.
Yo, I remember, going to the comic shop and getting my bags and boards so that I could, put my comics in and keep them all tidy, put them in that little like shoebox, and organize them and everything. Yeah, it's fascinating, but it's also great because I feel like the world is finally experiencing the stories in the same way that we experience them on the page.
Yep.
I think my biggest problem with some of the early comic book movies, or even like some of the video game movies that people will do, is they'll be like, "Hey, yeah, like we're in a comic book, right? So let's have some page turns, let's have some words jumping out at you," and it's like, please don't do that. Like that's in the comic book. Like we don't need that. This is a movie. Like let's do it. Like when you adapt a book for film, you don't do like, oh, page turns. We're telling a story. We're in a storybook. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or in video games, they're like, oh yeah, let's switch to first person view now because they're in a gunfight and that's what video gamers like. And it's like, no, please just tell us a story.
I
Tell us
feel
a
like
great
it's
story.
to kind of add on that if I can, Pearl. I think talking to some people on the show in the past, like Lee Arenberg, who was in Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and
Mhm.
talking about like movies like that, which there is a story there, but those are movies that are big and in terms of like the making of movies too. I mean, like he
Mhm.
was telling me like they made like a pirate ship, like they created like a pirate ship. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's like the
Yeah.
cinema, like that's a classic cinema there where they actually made a pirate ship and they were like
Yeah.
on the ship and everything.
Yeah.
Whereas like that, like I just wanted to add to what you said because it's also like
Mhm.
the how they're making movies right now is kind of
Oh yeah.
evolving all the time as well.
I mean, even it evolves into like the scale, some of these things on like on Disney Plus, like The Mandalorian, that they're making in a movie style, but it's for
So
streaming
good,
television.
so good. I love
The
like so good.
It's so good. The thing for the Jawas, that their big thing they made to scale, like that thing exists, and it's just this huge lumbering tank almost, in the middle of the desert. Yeah, I think that's the great thing about the power of movies and the power of imagination. And when you have that budget, you can literally build a pirate ship and be like, yeah, we're gonna put it in the water here, in the tank or on the ocean or what have you, and yeah, we're gonna shoot everything on this pirate ship. And honestly, as an actor, for instance, on Happiest season, the house that we filmed in was on a soundstage, but you'd never know it, because I walked in and I was like, this is a beautiful home. And every time I was in there, I felt like I was in this house in Pittsburgh, just like living this life. And then, like, you turn this corner and you're like, oh, there's nothing back here. There's nothing back here but boards and sandbags. Okay.
You're throwing a fastball down the middle that I have to hit out of the park because you're just setting me up for this right now. Have you watched the movies that made us on Netflix?
Yes. Yes.
Home
I haven't
Alone?
gotten through all of it. I started it and I haven't gotten through
So
all.
Home Alone, the one on Home Alone, I mean, that's a school.
Oh, I didn't know
That's a
that.
school. So like when they floods the basement, that's the pool of the school.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's the athletic area of the school.
That's so cool.
Like there's like a scene where like he floods the basement, all that water, it's a pool.
That's so
It's like
great.
the aquatic center of the school.
People are so creative and so
It is
I love it.
unbelievable.
I
No,
love
it's so wicked. And it's funny because, this is a movie that has a lot of incredible, actors in it and a lot of storytellers. But I find a lot of people are kind of wearing many hats in the industry these days too.
Yeah.
Is writing and directing, like you're acting in this film, right? But it's like, is that like something that you kind of want to like tackle on or have tried in the past? Like, or do you like just acting?
It's so funny. I really do. I love and enjoy acting. I have directed in the past, and I've done some writing. Writing I've enjoyed more than directing. Directing isn't really the only thing I've really enjoyed directing is like maybe like an action sequence or a stunt sequence, and being like, okay, well let's put these pieces together. Let's figure out what this is. I think I would probably, if I were to branch out in the industry, it'd probably lean more towards producing than directing or writing. But yeah, kudos to all the writers and directors out there. It is not an easy task. It is not an easy job. But the people that do it, Clea, our director, for instance, she also co-wrote the film along with Mary Holland. And man, she's so great. She's so good at what she does, man.
She's amazing. Classic, and some classic films as well.
Yeah,
which is amazing. Burl, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, brother. Me too. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So the movie comes out November 25th on Hulu.
November 25th on Hulu.
And where can they follow you on social media, like you specifically, to keep up to date? I saw like the production, like there's a Twitter account for this movie. Like they're going all out with this movie. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, they're not playing around. They're not playing around. You can find me on my socials. It's at Burl Mosely. That's BurlMosley on both Instagram and Twitter. I'm on Instagram more than Twitter, but if you only have Twitter, that's fine. That's fine too.
Well, thank you for coming on Popternative, and we're all excited. November 25th, Happiest season on Hulu.
All right, thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, you can catch Burl Mosely in Happiest Season, which will be on Hulu November 25th. Until next time, this is Burl Mosely and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.